if you shoot and it's not on YouTube, did it even happen? No, I'm not sure. It didn't.
Stand by! You obviously watched my clear slide trigger holster and range is clear for 765.
It's a reshoot.
We got a 0, 1, and a...
It's a reshoot, dude.
Why? Oh, I didn't do surrender start. Reshoot.
What's up, guys? Thought I'd do a quick update and first impressions, basically first shots at the local IDPA weekly match with my 226. Previous to this match, I had only done chronograph with the gun. I had worked up a 40 minor ammunition that I used for the match. And I wanted to just report back to you guys how I thought I did in the match with this gun, how it impacted my performance, and how, just like, what are my general thoughts on the 226 now, actually having shot it in a match. A couple things. First thing, I did have several instances where I had ended up pinning the slide stop down when I wanted it to go to slide stop. It happened, I think, 2 or 3 times. I believe one of the times I actually got a reshoot, which is really nice. But I had to really make sure I paid attention to keeping this thumb kind of up while I was shooting. And if I did that, it was fine. And when I was able to use it, when it went to slide stop and I actually used that to release the slide, it was really convenient. However, this being the size that it is, I also found that I pinned it a lot and did not allow the slide to go stop. The other thing, sight picture. Sight picture, this is a bit wider than what I'm used to. I like the fiber optic sights. I like the thin front blade style, blacked out rear. You can see what I've tried to do here for the night sights that come in there. But going forward, I would definitely want to upgrade the sights to, I think I'm going to slap some like Warren Tacticals on these because they are reasonably cheap. And then trigger, I had some concerns about how heavy the trigger would be. The double action's really quite nice. Now, admittedly, most of the stages we ran last night, the double action first shot was not a huge concern. I think only on the second stage that I shot was there any kind of shot out of the holster that was, longer than like 10 yards. But I didn't have a lot of trouble with the double action. I think it being smooth was really helped things. Now, the single action also has a very crisp break, and it was a predictable break, and I think that actually helped me quite a bit on running the trigger. I only had one stage, which is stage 3, where I pulled it a little bit, which I'm going to attribute to either me anticipating or to the trigger not breaking kind of when I'm used to the trigger breaking because it's a little heavier. So I dropped like 3 points down low into kind of the gut of the target versus being zeroed down on that target. So trigger overall was kind of a non-issue. I thought it was very smooth, very nice, and so it actually worked out, and I did not have much trouble with the trigger versus, say, like the Beretta. I told you it kind of had a different break, which would have required some spin-up time. This, well, I could probably get used to this pretty quick. I didn't find it to be that difficult to really land my hits where I wanted them. That said, one stage, I'm not even sure I really used my sights on the last array. You'll see that. That was kind of crazy. I ended up kind of just like point shooting it. And I guess I'll go ahead and provide some feedback on it. Like this thing pointed kind of from not the low ready, but from about the 6 inches from actually being able to see your sights shooting from the hip, so to speak. It actually kind of hit where I was hoping it would hit, so that was nice. And then the last thing about the trigger, it did, I think the reset, having to kind of work the trigger, getting it out there for that reset, did slow me down on a couple of arrays where I was just like, okay, there it is. Okay, there it is. And so my splits were a little slow on a couple of arrays throughout the stages. You'll see that. General thoughts on the 226 as a firearm, as a general firearm, as a duty gun, as a bedside gun, I would trust my life to this thing. I had no functionality issues. I might end up retiring this at some point and just making it a bedside gun. I think 40 cal, you don't get as many rounds as you would like. I think 12 is in the standard capacity. I'd probably put like a plus 2 or 3 on there, get it up to 15. Or check out some like Metgar magazines, see if they've got like a redesigned body or something. Sometimes they'll squeeze an extra round in there too. I don't know, I haven't really researched that. But as a duty gun, bedside gun, obviously it's a Sig, a metal Sig, and it's just going to run. As a competition gun, it could certainly be worked up into a great IDPA USPSA gun. I think I'm going to spend a little bit more money on this particular gun. I'm going to spend money on upgrading the sights, get them a bit competition style, Warren Tactical, something like that, Dawson Precision. I get these pretty cheap, I think. And then I'm actually going to probably invest in the SRT kit and really take that reset down. I'm not saying that's a deal breaker. I'm just saying that if I'm going to, I think that's just going to generally improve the quality of this gun. I liked the ammo. The ammo ran great out of it. It was super soft. 40 Miner is super soft if you've never shot it. You can see that in the video. The other thing that I didn't mention earlier that I do need to mention is right before I shot the match, my order from Wolf Springs showed up. Now, what I've ordered for this gun from Wolf Springs is a 17-pound hammer spring and some recoil springs. What I did is I dropped the 9mm stock spring in this gun ahead of the match. So this now has a 15-pound recoil spring in it, and that's what I ran at the match. And it felt pretty flat. I didn't, I'll have to double check some of the footage, but it felt really flat. I wasn't waiting on the sight to come up or anything like that. So that I think that worked out well. I obviously didn't induce any malfunctions. I did bring the stock one. But the stock one is like a wore out, or maybe a worn 20 pound spring, I believe is what comes on the factory one. So I did run the lighter 9mm factory spring for the 40 Miner loads I was using, but I did not have a chance to replace the hammer spring. And the reason I didn't replace the hammer spring is because some of these screws, you can see how they're kind of corroded, are stripping. And so I didn't want to get my grips like kind of halfway on, halfway off before the match, and then not be able to put the spring in and not be able. So I just left it. But that'll be a project for this weekend. I've got new screws coming, so if I strip these screws, I'll have new ones. And if I get into the gun and it's that old like one-piece style hammer spring thing, I'm hoping it won't be. I'm hoping it's the slightly updated one, because there's like kind of like 3 different ways to change hammer springs and SIGs depending on what kind of generation you have, and I have no idea what generation this is. So hopefully it'll be popping the grips off, popping that main spring out, and sliding on the new spring. But I didn't want to take that chance right before the match. So this, I did shoot it with the factory springs in it, and the trigger wasn't bad. So the 17 pounder, I'm hoping it'll be even better. Although again, like I said, this is perfectly acceptable right here. So summary: duty gun, it's ready to go. Just shoot it. It's not gonna fail you. Competition, I'm gonna make some selected upgrades. I'm gonna upgrade the sights. I've already upgraded springs. I'm gonna upgrade the hammer spring and try and get the SRT kit in there, and then this will be really good. And yeah, it's a really solid choice, guys. I don't know if it's my favorite choice. I've got a lot of other really good choices, but it's in terms of just picking something up and being able to run it, I was very happy with it. Now, will it grow on me? I don't know. I'm kind of just feeling good about it right now. I'm not feeling great. It wasn't life-changing. It wasn't game-changing. Like when I shot the Beretta, the recoil on it just was like kind of like, whoa, that's really crazy. It's a gun, and it shoots, and it does return to 0, and it's nice. But I just don't know if it's different enough for it to really catch my interest, I guess, is probably more the deal. But it is certainly a quality firearm, and it shoots very, 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 very smooth. So, you'll probably see it a couple more times on the channel as I get some of those parts in. But I've got some other things cooking too, so don't think I don't like the gun. I'm just not. I got limited funds to spend at different places, and we'll see it come back out for sure, guys. Thanks for watching.
Stand by. Stand by. All right, now. Stand by. Stand by.
Are you ready? Stand by.
I still didn't get a fucking zero on it.
1207. You made up a 1 with 3 more ones.
2 down though.